The 2021 Chevy Silverado. You're most likely looking at this because you're thinking to yourself, well, it's the end of the year, it's December 2022 at the time of me recording this, and you're looking to maybe get a discount on one of these because you know the 2022 Silverado just got unveiled, but you're thinking that that's going to cost way too much money, and you're probably right. I mean, a lot of vehicles, trucks especially, are selling for even over sticker price, which is just nuts. But let's go ahead. Get this thing out on the road. All right, sorry for that little interruption there, but yeah, 2021 Silverado, everything is pretty overpriced right now in the market, but you know, dealerships, they still don't want to be, you know, holding on to these older units, right? So they might cut you some slack on this, and the good thing about this is I really like the MSRP prices of the Silverado as it is. Like, you can get a great looking crew cab 4x4 Trail Boss, like a custom Trail Boss model, for like $45,000 to $47,000, which if you've been shopping for trucks, you know that that's actually a pretty excellent price. Now, granted, it's going to be pretty bare bones on the inside, probably halogen headlights, but MSRP price is really not bad. I mean, if you're going to compare those prices to the competitors like Ram or even the F-150s, you're going to be either getting a double cab or you're going to be getting like a really crappy looking crew cab with tiny little wheels, and it's just not going to be a good look. This, on the other hand, excellent. Now, speaking of looks, in my opinion, this is one of the best looking trucks on the market today. I'm not even lying about that. I'm not even joking about that. I never understood the comments and the and the things that people say about this truck. I mean, this to me is one of the most bold and one of the better looking vehicles that kind of stands out on the street, okay? Like, regular people, they really take notice to this thing, and overall gets pretty positive feedback. Like I mentioned, that Trail Boss, I mean, that's a lifted up truck. It accounts for 30% of their sales. Z71 packages, that's another 30%. So 60% of the Chevrolet sales are lifted up, kind of more off-road ready trucks, and the price point makes sense. And the front end, to me, looks fantastic. Again, it's striking. It has presence, unlike the F-150, unless you get in like a certain trim level. F-150 really, in my opinion, has the least amount of presence out of the road, which some of you may like that, I don't know. But at the end of the day, that's subjective. Let's just get started with this drive now, shall we? A little bit of a delay, but man, absolutely gets up to speed just fine. So the transmission, we have the 8-speed here with the 5.3 liter V8 engine producing 355 horsepower and about 383 pounds-feet of torque. 8-speed is one of my few little complaints I have with this truck. There's always like that one-step delay, and I'm actually in the sport mode right now, which doesn't do a whole lot. There's still like that delay when you initially put your foot down and lowers a gear. So that's something to note. But the V8 engine, there's actually a couple of things to note about it. For 2021, because of the chip shortage nonsense, they're saying that they don't have enough chips to add that active fuel management or the dynamic fuel management systems in these newer trucks. So there is a possibility that if you order or purchase a 2021 model, then you're not going to have the dynamic fuel management system, which is the cylinder deactivation. With the dynamic fuel management, okay, there's one little change there. It still cuts off the cylinders, but it does it in like 16 different ways. It depends on the way you drive, so it'll select certain cylinders to deactivate. Again, it's still a crappy system that you don't want on your truck if you care about longevity. Now, most of you, well, not most of you, there's a lot of truck drivers out there that they buy these things, they pay cash for them. I mean, these are like high-level contractors making big bags of money, and they just pay cash, and they can absolutely get rid of it every year or two. It's not really a big deal. They can always be posted up in the latest and greatest truck. If that's you, then reliability is absolutely not a concern to you, so you don't have to worry or care whether you get that or not. But if you want to keep your truck past the warranty period, not having the cylinder deactivation is a huge help. However, for the 6.2 liter V8, which Chevrolet offers, and it's one of the best motors that you can get in the half-ton segment, and again, I really respect them for offering two V8 options like that. I believe those engines, unfortunately, will come with cylinder deactivation no matter what. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure that's it, even despite the conductor chip nonsense. That's just what I'm seeing on their website. Again, Chevrolet is very vague here. That's the one thing. This is a very confusing product to purchase because there's like 4 different engines, 3 different transmissions. Some of them have active fuel management, some of them have the dynamic fuel management, some of them don't. I mean, there's just so many different variations, and they're not super clear on which models get what. So just visit their website, talk to your local dealership about that. But a lot of people are happy that you don't have to get that crap put onto your engine. Now, other aspects before we get into the interior segment. Okay, so driving this vehicle, there is a huge highlight here, and that is the smoothness, the quietness, and its handling. Let's start out with the handling because it finds a great balance between comfort and handling. After the Ram, I feel like this is the next best riding truck. And you know what? When you make casual turns in this, okay, when I mention handling, I'm not talking about at limit handling, driving it like it's a Porsche 911. That's not what I'm talking about. When you do that, when you do drive at 10/10 out on the road, you're going to feel the body roll, of course. But when you make those casual left-hand, right-hand turns like you would every day, it doesn't feel like it's going to flip over onto itself. So that's the thing about the 2021 Tundra I tested out, right? I love how it rides. It rides pretty much identical to this or even close to the Ram 1500s, right? But the problem with the Tundra is it's so soft to the point where it handles horribly. I mean, every time you make a casual left-hand, right-hand turn, it feels like it's going to topple over itself, right? It just feels like it's going to flip over. So that's the one thing I don't like about the Tundra. The F-150 is the complete opposite of the Tundra. The F-150 is one of the best handling pickup trucks really out there, and the problem with that is now it rides a little too stiff, so that's the issue there. This finds that perfect balance between ride quality and handling. Like it handles as well as I need to out on the street to give you that proper confidence. See, like, look right here, I kind of took that corner a little bit quicker than I probably should have, but even still, it managed itself so well. It just feels very neutral, satisfying on an everyday grind, right? Steering is set up to be kind of on the lighter side, which I like for a pickup truck because it's just non-fatiguing that way. You're not fighting the vehicle. It doesn't feel cumbersome to drive or anything like that. It sits out on the road perfectly. Now, yes, the Ram 1500, in my opinion, is the best truck that you can get still. The 2022 Silverado has the potential to really close that gap and really be one of the best trucks in the segment. But as of right now for this 2021, it's not. It still kind of loses out to the Ram. The Ram just feels a little bit more polished in its driving, and the ride quality is still the best amongst all of the trucks. But again, this finds a great middle ground. I like the handling. I like the ride. It's also pretty quiet in here as well. Not a crazy amount of wind noise for being a pickup truck that sits up kind of high. And again, this has the Z71 package, so you get the kind of off-road dampers and sits up a little bit higher still. So you could argue that the off-road package does help with the ride quality. Perhaps, I don't know. This is the only 2021 Silverado I've tried out. But yeah, very quiet. We have here the Goodyear Wrangler tires. Excellent tire choice, actually. Very quiet tire. Pretty impressed with that. We have the 18-inch wheels here, which also come with the Z71 package. I don't really like the way these wheels look, but it is what it is. These are 265 wide tires and all 4 corners. Some of the competitors offer 275s, but this is fine. Other things to note, one last thing, highway performance. Okay, so this engine, as you can see, it has a little bit of delay, right? When you kind of drive it casually around town, but you know where this engine really shines? It shines out on the highway. You will not believe it, but this thing picks up speed so well out on the highway. It just, I've never seen a truck pull so hard out there. This kind of outdoes the 5.7s in my opinion, like the Hemis and the Tundra 5.7s. This is actually, in my opinion, superior out on the highway. And even during city driving, I like how this propels off the line. It's just once you get it up and moving and you're at like 45 miles an hour and you want to stomp on it to pass somebody, that's when you notice the transmission kind of lagging there. But outside of that, out on the highway is just pulling like crazy. I mean, the only thing though is this truck, for whatever reason, was limited to 106 miles an hour. So I couldn't go past that. But hey, at 106, I mean, it was pretty stable, even though it was a windy day. Sure, at times, I mean, the wind can really kind of affect it a little bit more. But for the most part, it was coping really well. So the at-speed stability was great, and that's even with the leaf springs in the back. Okay, it's got the solid rear axle. That's what I'm saying. For a solid rear axle vehicle, I mean, the composure, the handling, I mean, it doesn't feel super antiquated in here. Neither does the Tundra. I mean, the Tundra is a very misunderstood truck, but again, all these American domestic trucks just handle so much better than the Tundra. That's just one thing to keep in mind. Do you need the 6.2 in this vehicle? Honestly, you really don't. Sure, that's nice. I tried it in the Tahoe, the new Tahoe, the High Country with the 6.2 liter, and it's great. It's not dramatically better than this, but it is noticeable. But I'm telling you, this 5.3 is great. I think if you pair this up with the 10-speed transmission, maybe this can be a lot better. So this engine is all you need, trust me. And it weighs around 5,200 pounds, which again, not a bad weight figure for a crew cab LT model as you see it here. So for a truck in its size, not bad. I mean, just for a reference, I mean, the Tundra and the Nissan Titan weigh like 5,700 pounds. So this is much lighter than that. The brakes could be much stronger though. That's one thing I noticed. These brakes are kind of on the mushier side. I do want better braking performance out of this thing, but that's a pretty easy fix, honestly. I mean, you can just get better brake pads. And finally, I'll just talk about one last thing. The auto stop start function is excellent. It is so seamless, so smooth. I feel like it reacts just as well as like a Ram 1500 with like the e-torque system. It is so seamless. I actually, for once, leave the auto stop start on because it is just so smooth. But I will say this, fuel economy, it's not really the best. I think it's rated to get about 14 in the city and like 21 on the highway. With douchebag driving out in the city, I'm getting like 13 mpg. When I'm really driving like an animal, like 10 mpgs. And out on the highway, doing pretty active highway driving, passing people on the left and all that, I'm getting about 18 mpg. But if you drove it like grandma does, then you can probably get about 14, 15 mpg in the city and about 20 or so mpg on the highway. I do think that's possible if you're just chilling in the right lane doing 75 miles an hour. So that's just something to note there. But let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior segment now. All right, the interior on the 2021 Silverado. Something to keep in mind, this is not the best in class interior. It's not the absolute worst in here, but this interior is a bit of a letdown. And some of you might be saying, well, it's just it's a truck, bro. It's not supposed to be the best. Well, here's the thing. This is not, the thing with modern day trucks is you have to pay like $50K plus. This is a $50,000 LT model, as you see it here. Trucks can get up into the $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 mark now. Yeah, I expect a lot out of trucks today. I expect them to ride great, handle great, and I want them to have a phenomenal interior because they are charging luxury car prices, and you deserve to have a superior interior than this, especially when you see what the Ram is doing as well as the new F-150 I tested out. This is falling short in my opinion. There's still some good here, like the infotainment. This is a pretty good infotainment system. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is available on the higher trim levels, but you do get it standard regardless. And this is a good infotainment system. It actually reacts really well, really quick to respond. The backup camera is decent. You also have like this jackknife thing going on. So that's a safety feature that if you're towing and hauling, it kind of helps you to make lane changes a little bit more confidently. So that's something to note there. But otherwise, it's kind of a more plasticky interior. But again, the 2022 addresses a lot of this. And I'm going to be talking about the 2022 in the conclusion segment. Because this is the Z71, you also have things like the hill descent controls, and you have your 4x4 controls here on the corner here, along with your sport modes and things like that. Cabin feels solid as a whole. I mean, when you close a door, it feels tight, and like I mentioned in the drive, there's hardly any real tire noise, wind noise, anything like that. There's no use of double pane glass, and none of the trucks use double pane glass, but even still, this is one of the quieter ones for sure. You have one-touch up and down windows, only for the front window here for the driver's side. The rest of them are just regular. You have to keep holding onto the window switch there. Electronic parking brake. Loving the HVAC controls, very simple. They're all physical, love that. Heated seats work incredibly well in this truck, and so do the heated steering wheel. That's also an option that you have here. Gauge cluster is pretty basic, but you know what? I really like it. It's easy to understand, legible. The helper screen is also pretty useful as well, easy to sort through. Automatic headlights. Column shifter, huge letdown. I really hate column shifters, especially this one. This is just like that Nissan Titan where it feels like a cheap toy. I mean, it's so imprecise. I really hate it. So clunky. Again, things that they revised for the 2022 model year. You actually get like a floor-mounted digital shifter. So that's a huge improvement over this. This is horrible. And you have a USB-C port, 2 glove boxes, although neither of them are super large, but you do have it. This seating configuration for this LT model is actually a 6-seater. So you have a bench seat here up in the front, so you can kind of flip this middle seat up. You can have an extra seat, or you can just flip it down like I have it here, and you can use it as your center console space. Decent amount of space inside, 2 cup holders, some extra trays here. The seats themselves, not that comfortable, I'm not gonna lie. This is a lot like the Toyota Tundra seats for 2021. Really on the stiff side. The lumbar support is excellent. I really like that. But on a longer trip, it does kind of hurt my back a little bit more. So that's just something to keep in mind there. I wish these seats were a little bit softer. For this generation, you might want to consider getting the leather seats or a more higher trimmed luxury seat. No sunroof here. Obviously in the rear, we have the crew cab, which is obviously the best for its looks and for the rear occupant space, right? This is no surprise. Every truck is the same. When you get it as a crew cab, they're huge. I mean, it's like a small apartment building. Actually, it might be larger than some of the apartments that you get in like New York. So this is massive, and 3 people can absolutely sit back there in comfort. You even have some HVAC vents, excellent headroom. And here's the thing, when you get a crew cab with a short bed like this, it does affect your towing. If you want the best possible towing, then you have to get like, you know, the double cabs or like the 2 doors, really like the work truck with like the big bed and probably like rear wheel drive with the least amount of options. That's how you get the best payload and the best towing. Granted, for 2021, they did make some changes, like the smaller engines, those pathetic little 4-cylinders and that little diesel engine, the little Duramax, the 3-liter. They both tow like 95 to 9,600 pounds, which is excellent for those little tiny engines. Again, that's only if you get it configured, how I said, like almost work truck spec. The 6.2 liters have the potential to tow up to like 13,000 pounds, which is like best in class. But that's only for that motor. For the 5.3s, it can still tow up to like 11,500 pounds, something like that. Again, get the 5.3 liter V8. You're buying a truck. You should be able to enjoy a proper engine. This is so silky smooth. I really appreciate it. I mean, if you really want to hear this engine, you should probably put a, exhaust and an intake on it. That's what I would recommend. But otherwise, it's really hushed and silent in here. So that's just the smoothness that you get when you go with a proper V8. That's just what you want, especially when you're spending this much money. The little diesel engine, I can understand if you're doing a lot of towing. The gas mileage on that is pretty good, and if you're doing a ton of miles, it could make sense. But again, that's up to you. You probably already know these things. So talking about the bed, unfortunately, we don't have the the pretty cool 6-step multi-gate bed or whatever the hell it's called. That's actually a really smart tailgate setup. It's actually one of the best I've seen because it's such an elegant solution to get inside of the bed. Very easy access. But here we just have the simple bed. Yeah, it's your traditional bed. I mean, there's plenty of space. It's nice and wide, so don't worry about that. And you still have some steps there on the side, so it kind of makes it easy to get in and out of still, so not too bad. I mean, as a whole, it's a decent truck. However, this is where I'm going to be talking about the 2022 Silverado as well. I haven't personally driven it yet, but for sure, if you can wait it out, or if you just have a lot of money, that's really the truck to get. I mean, that's really a super class competitive truck. This already is, but that's taking it to the next level because the interior, completely enhanced, really addresses a lot of the issues I had with this 2021. You get the much better display, digital gauge cluster, more importantly, the material choices and everything. It should be feeling a lot more premium than it is here. So you're getting the better tech. And certain things, like even though manufacturers might not disclose all of the changes, like I feel like there's a possibility that it could brake better, probably rides even smoother than this. There's going to be a ZR2 model coming. So a lot of things there with the 2022s, a lot of upgrades. And if you're one of those people where you're dead set on getting either the diesel engine or the 4-cylinder, they've really updated those engines. I think the 4-cylinder now gets like 420 pounds-feet of torque. Again, don't let the numbers fool you all the time. A V8 is still going to be way more satisfactory than some turbocharged 4-cylinder crap, but that's just something to note. I mean, they really enhanced it, and I think the little diesel now tows like 13,000 pounds for the 2022 model year. Something to note. The front end gets slightly more refreshed, a little bit more of a cleaner look. It should be a pretty great truck. So something to note, I mean, unless you're getting this at a massive discount, which is, even despite everything that's going on, could be possible. But yeah, that's the only way I could recommend the 2021 is if you get it super cheap. There's a lot of qualities about this I really like the handling, the ride. It's a great compromise. And I think some people might like the leaf spring setup in the back. So something to note, the 2022 is also going to be continuing that. But hopefully you found value with this review. Thanks again for watching. Take care and goodbye.